want to talk about the 5 love languages. And this came about because I saw a clip of a video where people were talking about it and saying how the love languages are not a real thing. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, the premise is that we all express love in one of 5 different ways. And it's based on a book by, I think the author was called Gary Chapman, but don't quote me on that. That came out in the early 90s. So can learning about the love languages help you in your relationships? And if so, how? So that's what I want to talk about today. So to start, let me explain that the 5 love languages identified by this book are gifts, acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, and physical affection. Now, this is not the first or really only time that I've heard criticism about the 5 love languages, and I didn't really watch the video long enough to know exactly what they were saying, except for a few salient points that I'll mention. But it got me thinking because I tend to believe that what it is important about a teaching is the essence, right? I'm all about finding the part of it that resonates or feels that it doesn't resonate for me and focus on that. And I like to start with the why, not to rip off Simon Sinek here, right? But starting with why it feels helpful or why it doesn't often gives me a lot of insight. So as a result, I started thinking a little bit more on the subject, and this is why I think the love languages, or at least the idea or the concept of the love languages, can be very helpful. First, the clip that I saw talked about how oftentimes we emphasize the wrong thing about the love languages. That is, that we focus on our love language instead of actually focusing on the love language of our loved one or our partner, etc. And I wholeheartedly agree with that idea, right? Focusing on identifying our love language is necessary so that we can then clearly express to the other person what that is, right? But it is just as important to identify or ask about our partners or our loved one's love language so that we can determine if it is a way in which we can communicate our love to them. Second, I do believe that there are more than 5 love languages, or the 5 that are mentioned in the book. Because I think that one particular love language can take a lot of different shapes and forms, but also because we are humans that come with baggage and wounding, and oftentimes what we need to feel loved may not be the healthiest of interactions. Let's take a generic and imaginary example of the quintessential middle child, right? If we assume the stereotypical family dynamics, this is a child that is often ignored and feels unseen, right? So because of the dysfunction, they may learn that in order for them to feel loved, they need to be seen, and in order for them to be seen in their household, they need to act out. Now, if this wound is not healed by the time they become an adult, they may have developed a strategy that when they're feeling like their partner is not seeing them or not paying enough attention or spending enough time with them, they may start, for example, flirting with other people in front of their partner as a way to get their partner's attention. Now, when their partner gets jealous, then they feel important to their partner and seen by their partner, and therefore they feel loved, right? So there is a lot of different ways in which we can take these 5 languages, right, and distort them to create completely new ones. Now, the pure essence of this language may be quality time, right? But the distorted version of it looks more like the love language is jealousy or conflict. So because none of us are fully healed, perfect people, right, we don't always fit into the mold of one of these 5 categories. Now, the third thing is that our languages may be different in different circumstances and with different people. And also, as we grow, they may shift or expand. For example, for me, physical affection was a love language with one of my romantic partners, but not with another, right? or you can have multiple love languages with one specific person. I mean, at the risk of sounding greedy, I would love all five love languages to be demonstrated to me, right? So the point is that it is not static because, well, we are not static, right? So, in summary, how can we improve our relationships using this concept, even if we don't believe in it at all, right? And to me, the point of this entire exercise or video, I guess, is to remember to identify how you feel loved and what your love language is, and express that to your loved ones so that you are setting yourself up to receive love in the way that feels most fulfilling to you, but also to learn about their love language, right? And make a concerted effort to do the same for them and to do so without judgment. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't get to express love in a way that feels good to you, right? But it does mean that we need to remember that a great part of expressing, a great part of the joy of expressing love really lies in the other person receiving it. And having this conversation with your loved ones can open the door to a deeper and more genuine connection, which ultimately is what we all want. Now, having said all of that, do you know what your love language is? If so, put it in the comments. And if you don't know, maybe it would be a good self awareness exercise for you to think and feel into what that is for you. Now, for me, at this stage in my life, like I said before, I think it's all five. I mean, I, again, don't mean to be greedy, but well, whatever. Until next time, namaste.